Hey, good morning, Connie. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Jerry. How are you on this Midwest fall day?
A little chilly. Been a little difficult to stay warm this morning. We didn't turn the heat on, and we're trying to acclimate to the climate here in the Midwest.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
Wife's not too happy about that, but
Yeah, at our house, we kind of set a kind of a date. Okay, we're not turning the heat on before this date. And some years we make it, and some years, I'm freezing. I'm like, I can't do it. We got to turn the heat on. The
what's
blankets
the
and the sweat clothes are not enough.
what's the target date for this year?
Well, I have to confess, I actually did turn the heat on one day when it got so cold. So I've already blown it for this year.
That's quite all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'd
So
like to welcome everyone to our Roadmap to Retirement video series. Today, we're going to be talking about estate planning, and it's something that's near and dear to our hearts and very important to us. Uh,
absolutely. Right.
you may have joined us in the past for our other videos. We had one on life care planning, and this is the next one on estate planning, and that's a very, very important part. As Connie and I were talking, it really is a little bit of an end of life conversation, but important. And as you get a little bit older, some of these things, if they're not planned correctly, will cause problems. Uh, Connie, what is estate planning and why is it important to everyone?
Good question, Jerry. And to kind of give our attendees a little bit of background, as Jerry and I were preparing for this today, we really stumbled on the fact that as I use the term estate planning, and as Jerry uses the term estate planning in his industry, maybe slightly different. When I talk about estate planning, and I'm going to give some bird's eye views today about it, where I'm talking about making a plan for what will happen to your assets upon your death. As far as planning for diminished capacity, incapacitated, being incompetent, I'm going to refer our listeners back to the previous video where we talked a lot about life care planning. But I think what you'll hear today is, from Jerry's side of things, and Jerry will elaborate on this, is that when they're using the term estate planning in the insurance industry and that in their office, it is that bigger, broader umbrella of the life care and then what happens at death. So just keep that in mind. Check out our other video on life care planning. And from my bird's eye view, what is estate planning? Back to that question, Jerry. It is, what do I have? Who do I want it to go to at my death? And how am I going to get it there? Those are our three fundamental questions. And once we've answered those, then you create the documents to implement that plan. So you need to determine what are your assets, how do I presently own them, what's happening automatically at my death, where do I want them to land, and so do I need to make changes to what's happening automatically by beneficiary designations or joint tenancy or payable on debt? Do I need to fix that? And who do I want them to land with? And making sure that I create planning documents and designations that will achieve that goal. So what do I have? Who do I want it to go to? How am I going to get it there? Am I going to get it there with a will, a trust, or what we call operation of law? Bird's eye view. So what is it, Jerry, in your industry, estate planning? What are the elements? What do you see? What are the challenges?
So on the estate planning front, it's the only focus that we can really have is on a perpetuation planning for businesses. On a personal level, most of your contracts have a provision in it that the carrier will work with the executor of the estate. So that's taken care of. Beneficiary planning is important for your life policies and stuff like that. On the business front, we have a number of clients that own companies and what's going to happen with that after the death. So that's the perpetuation planning.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different hats or a lot of different things we have to focus on at that point.
Yes, absolutely.
Connie, I know in our last video, we used the term not having an estate plan is in effect a plan, and not a good plan.
Right.
That's the kind of calls we get. It's like, what do we do now? This thing's broken. But
Sure.
what would happen if you don't have a plan, Connie? Who takes care of that?
The excellent question. And I think to pick up a phrase from our previous video, our family phrase is, having no plan is risky bisky, because the state of Illinois, where we are personally, is going to tell you what happens to assets that are passing through your estate that are in your individual name, that were not part of a trust, that are not payable on death directly to a person or to a trust, and they're in your individual name. Well, the state of Illinois says if you didn't intentionally plan for these via the will, the trust, or operation of law, here's where they're going to land. Here's how it's going to go. And that can be risky bisky, because that plan may not be how you wanted it to be distributed. And even worse yet, even if it aligns with, lands with the people that you wanted to go to, so sometimes that could happen, is if one of those people that it's landing with has special needs. They, maybe they are on receiving some sort of public assistance because they're disabled. Well, you did not build in a plan then, because no plan, it's going to go directly to them and could affect their benefits. You might have a beneficiary who's not good with managing money, that you could have, allocated their share to be, held in trust with certain parameters. So there are, sometimes it might land where you wanted it to, but other times it's not going to land where you wanted to. The person that you wanted to be appointed as executor may not be the person that actually gets appointed as executor. And if there were any sort of special needs that needed to be thought through and planned for, you don't have the opportunity to do it. So risky bisky. Creating an intentional plan, very important. Going back to your insurance agent and making sure that those beneficiary designations align with the intentional plan you created is very important. So in that vein, turning it back over to you, when a person creates a plan with me or someone else, their attorney, and then they come back to you, how does it work? Do you help them check like their beneficiary designations to make sure it aligns with their plan? How frequently should they come and, review those with you? What are the challenges you see on that side of things?
Anytime there's a change, there needs to be an update to their programs. It's funny, we have companies change names. They don't let us know.
Oh, gosh.
On the business side, they enter into organizations, or they buy organizations or create organizations to expand their business. They don't let us know. That's a huge problem. We want to avoid that. And on the backside, these beneficiary designations, a lot of folks, after they have visited with their attorney, come to us with a host of homework for us to update either ownership and or these beneficiary designations to help with their estate plan. And the one thing that I think we as professionals have to remember is that our clients are not experts in this field, and they don't know what sometimes the next steps are. That's what I find out. So we, in our annual review, will try to put some pointed questions out there that kind of allude to this conversation, these changes happening, and our need to update policies. So it's so important to get it done before a catastrophe happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. Before death and before, I know you've shared with me the issues if they don't get it done and then they're incapacitated and they never got it done, which again goes back to our previous video, that it's just.
Yeah. They look to us for answers that just aren't there, because this is a matter of law. Sure. Connie, if is it difficult for someone to set up a plan?
In my opinion, no, but it does take some time and thoughtful intention. So, how we approach it is we would have a client complete an information sheet, because sometimes people forget about, they think, oh, I really don't have very much, but we have a very intentional information sheet that helps them think through everything they own, how they have it titled, do they have it going automatically somewhere, what the approximate value is, so we know if they're a more complex estate or if we don't have to worry about estate taxes and whatnot. So, we help them in that step. So while that form may sometimes seem daunting, it's very worthwhile. And then from there, once you get that all down, what you have, then you can talk, very productively with your estate planner, the person you're working with, as to, okay, now what do you see as the options for me? And then the estate planner can help you weigh the pros and cons. And then you can make a decision. Okay, I'm going to, go with a will. I'm going to go with a trust. And in this context, I'm talking primarily today about a revocable trust, or I'm going to use operation of law or combine them in some fashion. So I think sometimes, Jerry, people hesitate to get a plan, to get moving on their plan, because they think it is going to be a daunting experience. And it really doesn't have to be if you break it down into steps, into chunks. And I think the other thing that, while sometimes people put it off, and you probably see it on your side of things, is like, oh gosh, if I do this, I'm going to, jinx myself. Something bad's going to happen. And I've been doing this a really long time. I know you have. Our roots date back to about the same time. That's not, could that happen? Yes, but that's very remote. That is not the way it works. It's just very smart to get that plan, but break it into chunks, and it doesn't have to be daunting at all.
From my perspective, the lack of a plan is probably the most expensive plan they could possibly have.
Bingo, right? Yeah. It really is.
Well, Connie, thanks for your time today, and thank you to our audience for following us. We are looking forward to our next video coming up here on long-term care planning next. Until then, hopefully you'll be able to get out there and enjoy the great outdoors. We have a beautiful fall season going. Connie, what are you going to do this next weekend?
Well, I am going to follow our East Coast friends, and I'm going to do some Midwest leaf peeping. So I love the spectacular colors we have in the Midwest this time of year. So that's on my agenda. And so wherever you are, if you don't have leaf peeping to do, whatever your view is, we hope that it is spectacular. And we hope that you'll check out our other videos and our future videos yet to come. And until we meet again, take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.